Hi, beautiful people. It's finally the weekend, and I'm hoping that you're doing great. Donald Trump speaks on healthcare. There's actually a lot of things happening with Donald Trump right now that I would like to talk about, but this one I feel is really important for a lot of reasons, and we'll get into it. Also, there's a lot of other things that I want to talk about. Like, people have been asking me about the big beautiful bill, and you guys would like me to break down some of those things. There's a lot to cover. We'll get into it. Everything I share is for educational and fair use purposes only. And as usual, I have to put myself on mute because until I figure out my sound, it creates so much of an echo. So when you guys see me using my phone, that's how I communicate with you guys. And I'm gonna get into it. Let me get comfortable. I never mean to cause division with these videos. It's supposed to spark a conversation. Let's go. Oh, I'm gonna mute myself. So I'm gonna say hi in the clouds. Or if you catch the replay.
And I see Kevin's in the audience, and I just want to thank you. You were fantastic on television today. I actually want to keep you where you are, if you want to know the truth. Kevin Hassett is so good. I'm saying, wait a minute, move him. Fed guys, certainly the one we have now, they don't talk much. I would lose you. It's a serious concern to me. So I just want to say thank you very much. You've done incredible. We don't want to lose him, Susie. We'll see how it all works out, okay? Thank you, Kevin. Great job. And thank you for all being here as we discuss the largest investment in rural healthcare in American history. This is a big one. We're delighted to be joined by many incredible members of the healthcare community, including doctors, nurses, and pharmacists from all across America. We're also very happy to have with us some very talented people. A man who is really good at this, extremely non-controversial, which is, I wanted somebody non-controversial. So I chose Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to head the whole shebang up. And he also happens to be a great guy. Brooke Rollins, who's doing a fantastic job at agriculture, and thank you. And how are the prices coming?
They're coming, sir, they're coming down.
Don't forget, we inherited a mess. Remember eggs? They were up 4 times higher than they ever were. And in my first day, they said, what are you going to do about eggs? I said, I didn't cause the problem. We didn't cause, we inherited a mess, but the prices are coming down.
Yes, sir. Wholesale prices are down 86%. Retail a little bit less than that, but yes, you're making America affordable again.
With you in charge, I have no doubt, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, a really good man, a really brilliant guy, Dr. Mehmet Oz. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Oz. And thank you also to Governor Jim Pillen, Senator Dan Sullivan, and Representatives Rob Bresnahan, Mike Lawler, John McGuire, and Nick Begich. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it very much. Now we have other congressmen here, I see, and a couple of senators, and we appreciate everybody being here. Everyone wants to be a part of this. It's so important. It's maybe, I don't know, for many people, there's nothing more important. I would say maybe defense. We need defense, and we need offense too, by the way. As part of the great big beautiful bill, we're increased, and we have increased funding for the healthcare by an unprecedented $50 billion. That's rural healthcare. Nobody thought that was going to happen, and we got it done. So we have rural healthcare for those that were trying to make a case that we weren't taking care of the rural community. I'm all about the rural community. We won the rural communities by numbers that nobody's ever won them before, and we're taking care of those great people. So we already did this. We increased funding for rural healthcare by an unprecedented, record-setting $50 billion over 5 years, which will benefit Americans in all 50 states. And this made possible and was made possible by cutting massive waste, fraud, and abuse from Medicaid and reinvesting those funds to revitalize hospitals and our cherished rural communities and hospitals in rural communities. And I want to say, with all of the fraud that we're seeing in Minnesota and California and other places, I actually think that if we do an unbelievable job, you could almost balance your budget, Kevin. If you take a look at the kind of numbers you're talking about, nobody ever saw anything like it. They're all corrupt politicians, from the governor of Minnesota to the governor of California to everybody. They're just corrupt politicians. And you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud, waste fraud and abuse. But in fraud, you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. Under the Unaffordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, it's called the unaffordable. It is unaffordable. Remember that. Rural hospitals in communities were devastated by soaring costs, and that continues. Despite colossal increases in government spending since Obamacare was passed, only 7% of the annual Medicaid spending on rural hospitals has gone to rural hospitals. So there's only a very little. They didn't care. Obama didn't care about the rural community, to be totally blunt. What he did care about is insurance companies. And this was a bill to make insurance companies wealthy. And they did. They made insurance companies very wealthy. I would say they don't like me too much because they spent hundreds of billions of dollars, and we're going to have that money spent to the people and given to the people, not we're going to circumvent the insurance companies. Partially as a result, rural healthcare facilities have suffered from low occupancy rates, workforce shortages, and failing programs that put Band-Aids, literally put Band-Aids over the problems in those communities. And we're not going to have that. We're taking great care of them. With the Rural Health Transformation Program, we are getting rural communities the health support they need, and we're getting it immediately. These funds will go to empowering rural hospitals, strengthening their workforce, modernizing facilities and technology, and ensuring that rural Americans get world-class healthcare in their own community, right smack in their own community, like they've never had it before.
So
and they've been hurt very badly by the Unaffordable Care Act. Every single Democrat in Congress voted against the Lifeline for rural communities. And I hope everyone knows this. And this is not about elections, but I hope you remember this in the midterms, because the Democrats are just so horrible toward the rural community. But I want to take a moment to thank the incredible House and Senate Republicans who worked so hard on making this historic investment possible. That's what they did. And they did work hard. I don't think got a Democrat vote, did we? Did we get one Democrat vote? We got all Republican votes. It was an amazing feat. And I want to thank Mike, our Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and John Thune for really doing a great job. It was tough. We have small majorities. And I want to thank the congressmen that are here for doing, in particular, for working so hard and getting this done. Yesterday, I also announced our framework to lower health care prices for all Americans, including those in rural America. And we're calling it the Great Healthcare Plan. We had to come up with a name. And everybody wanted to say, oh, well, can we put something about lowering costs? Because we're lowering costs very substantially. So I had Bobby and I had Oz. We had everybody in there. We had a whole group of people and were trying to come up with, so we're saying, the cost reduction plan that gives you good health care. And I said, it's too long. It's not going to sell. I said, we had more plans. And they wanted to get the words cost reduction in there, Lola, especially you. They wanted cost reduction in, and then they wanted great health care in. I said, look, you can have one or the other, but it gets too long. We're talking about the name of a plan. So we got it down to 7 or 8 words, and which is far too long. Nobody can remember that much. And I said, how about just call it, because this is the Great Healthcare Plan. Now, a great plan has to be cost effective, otherwise it can't be a great plan. That's the way I looked at it. So we have a very glamorous name. It's called the Great Healthcare Plan, not the Unaffordable Care Act. I don't like that name. This is called officially the Great Healthcare Plan. That means low price and great healthcare. So you're going to have, at a lower price, great healthcare. First, our proposal codifies the massive discounts on prescription drugs that my administration is achieving through our most favored nation provisions. Okay, we can go into this. We can go into this for hours, but the bottom line is we'll be paying the lowest price of any nation in the world. Whoever's paying the lowest, we match it. This could have been done years ago. I was going to do it in my first administration. But when COVID came toward the end, I said, I can't believe it wasn't exactly a good time to be doing it. But I said, why isn't somebody doing it? And the reason they're not doing it is that no other nation would agree. France, as an example, paid 10% of what we paid. Germany was paying 13 or 14% what we paid. In other words, we paid many times more, not a little bit more, not 10% more, 10 times more. A pill would cost 10 times more in New York than it would cost in London, as an example, than it would cost in Munich. And this went on for many decades. This was right from the beginning. And the reason it went on was a little bit of the healthcare companies, but it was other nations. And I understand that. If I were heading Germany, I'm not going to double and triple and quadruple my healthcare. They got the healthcare companies to pay. It just took place over a long period of time, got worse and worse. And it just hit numbers that were just absolutely unsaleable. And if you remember, the doctors in the audience remember, they say, well, we have to do research and development. I said, well, what about research and development for Germany? Well, we've decided to put up so the pill would cost 5 times more because of research and development and 5 times more for other reasons. They had all these phony reasons. To the healthcare companies, actually. But he was very fat. And he took the fat, I call it the fat drug. I won't give you which one. It was Ozempic. I won't tell you that. And he went to London on one of his many business trips. It's all he does is business. He can't walk across the street, but he's a great businessman. And he said, President. I said, what? He used to call me Donnie. Now he calls me president. So I said, you come a long way. He goes, but I have a problem. What's your problem? In New York, I pay $1,300 for this drug. Now, this means nothing to him. This is like a penny out of your wallet. The guy's worth hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. He said, and in London, sir, I pay just a fraction of that. I said, what are you paying? $87. I said, well, is it the same drug? I knew exactly what he was getting at because it bothered me for a long time. He said, it's the exact same drug. And because of his wealth and his business smarts, he had it checked. It was made in the same plant by the same company. It's identical. And here I pay $87, and in New York I pay $1,300. So it was too much to bear. Because after I told him that the drug does not work on him, because I saw him recently, he's actually fatter than ever. I said, the drug is not working on you. You're going to have to go to something else. But it does work on a lot of people. And he said, thanks, you make me feel good. I said, well, I got to be truthful. You always tell the truth, right, Mr. Congressman? Oh, look, two of the great congressmen. But the drug, we have to do something about it because that's the same with I would say, Bobby, every drug, essentially. Doesn't have to be in that proportion. In some cases, it's much worse. Because what happened, I might as well get off this crap because it doesn't explain it properly. Because what happened is these countries are very smart, and the drug companies would go to them and they said, look, we're paying $10 for the pill. We're not paying more. Charge America. And this happened one time, then the next year, This is over 40 years. All of a sudden, they're paying $10 for a pill, and we're paying like $130 for the same pill. It just happened over years, slowly. And it got to a point over the last 10, 12, 15 years where it just was unbearable. And I went to a great executive at Eli Lilly, the top man. He's a very smart guy. And I confronted him, and he had the same line that they always had, blah, 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 research and development. I said, look, we got to stop this nonsense. We're paying 10 times more for things in Europe. It's not research and development. And if it is research and development, they should pay their fair share of that too. And he said to me, and he's a great guy, he said, look, you're right. We can't defend it anymore. I said, you're admitting it? Because these guys had a stand, all of them. They must have taken a class together. Must have been, it's probably illegal what they did, Laura, you'll check it, right? They must have gone to school together and said, this is the way we're going to fight this crazy thing where the United States pays 10, 12, 13 times more for a drug. Same drug made in the same plant. And he said, here's the problem we have. The nations are brutal. When we go in and say, we have to give you an increase, they say, no, put it on America. We're not paying you anything. And they say it with such power. And they actually shut us off from selling the drug. And it just happened over and over again. It got a little worse, a little worse, a little worse. All of a sudden, we're paying many times more for a sin. They said, it's not going to happen anymore. He said, the problem is, sir, you'll never get the nations to agree. It's impossible. They're very tough, and they are. And they'd have to agree to a doubling or tripling of their drug prices in order to get you down, because the world is a bigger place than us. So it's not like you cut it in half. Actually, if they raised it a little bit, we'd go down a lot. You understand that? I think people understand that. So you raise it like from $10 to $20 or $10 to $30, but we'd go from 130 down to 30. We're down to 20. So because the numbers are much bigger, the numbers on their side are much bigger. So they need a doubling or tripling or quadrupling. Now, if you're the head of France, the last thing you want to do is say, I'm going to quadruple the cost of a drug. And that's the way it is. But I said, I know, but it's not fair. And this is taking place. And the head of Eli Lilly, and I really mean it, an unbelievable executive, an unbelievable guy, one of the most successful companies, and who's, by the way, spending hundreds of billions of dollars right now. He told me the other day, he's building 6 major plants in the United States. You know why he's doing that? Because of tariffs. He's doing that because of tariffs. Without tariffs, he wouldn't be doing it. Nobody understood tariffs until I came along. Nobody understood, other than President McKinley. He understood them a long time ago. And because of him, we were the richest nation that we ever were at that period of time. And then when he died, he was assassinated. Teddy Roosevelt came over and he inherited a war chest, and he built the Panama Canal, which is the single most expensive thing ever built in the history of the United States, relatively. We spent what would be the equivalent of $5 trillion building the Panama Canal. It was also the most successful thing probably we've ever built, and to this day. And then Jimmy Carter gave it away for $1. This is the same theory we have on favored nations. The great Jimmy Carter, President Jimmy Carter, gave it away for $1. We lost 38,000 men. In those days it was men. I hate to say this, but mostly men. They didn't have a lot of women workers on the Panama Canal. But we lost 38,000 people. They died from malaria and snake bites. It was a combination of that, a vicious snake, one of the most vicious. You get hit, you're dead. They died from snake bites. 38,000. They paid workers from the United States 3 times more than they made to come over to Panama and dig. For many of them, that was not a good deal. They died, 38,000. We gave it away for that. But that same stupidity having to do with the Panama Canal, and I could tell you about 100 other stories too. You don't have time. But that's what went into this whole thing with favored nations. So Europe and other nations all over the world were getting drugs from the same plant, same factory, same everything, same location, everything, same company, for a tiny fraction of what we're paying. So our people were paying a tremendous amount. So the gentleman from Eli Lilly and others, we had a meeting, and they all finally put up their hands. You got us. We give up. And they were great from that time. But we had a problem. The other nations weren't going for it. France turned it down. Germany turned it down. UK turned it down. European Union turned it down. The whole group. They said, "There's nothing you can do about it, sir." I said, "Yes, there is." "No, there isn't. You'll never be able to get them up. Never. I mean, the whole industry is going to be torn apart." I said, "We'll get them up easily." "Are you crazy?" "Of course we'll get them up. That's what I do for a living. I get people up." So I started with President Macron of France, and a very nice person. I like him a lot. I hope he's listening because he doesn't believe that, but I do. He's a nice man. And I said, Emmanuel. "Yes, Donald, thank you so much for calling."
At least there's
I said,
one.
"You're not going to like this call. You're going to have to get your drug prices up." No. I will not do that."
What?
I said, "Emmanuel, we're paying 13 times more than 13 times, not 13%. 13 times more than you are for this pill." I rattled off some numbers that are crazy. You know, the numbers I'm talking about, Oz. Oz would give me some numbers. I'd say, "This is crazy. We're paying 10 times, 12 times, 13 times. No, I will not do that." I said, "Look, you've got to do it. 100% you're going to do it." No, Donald, I told you I will not do that. I said, "Here's a story, Emmanuel. If you don't do it, I'm going to put a 25% tariff on all goods, wine, champagnes, and everything else coming into the United States of America." He said, "Donald, I would love to do this for you. It would be a great honor to do it." And that's where it began. And I went through country after country. Susie was responsible for getting every one of those leaders on the thing. Susie, by the way, stand up, Susie. She is doing such a good job. She's the first female chief of staff. And she might be the best chief of staff too, but she's doing a great job. Thank you, Susie. So Susie got them on. And I just went one after another. I called Germany. No, we will not do that. They said, "No, we're going to put a 25% tariff," which is, by the way, about 7 times more than they would have to pay by raising their drug. Like 7 times. This wasn't like a little bit more. 7 times more. And I may do that for Greenland too. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security. So I may do that. I'll give you a little. I'll take you out of that. In fact, that'll end up being the story. But actually, this is a much bigger story because we're reducing healthcare by numbers that you haven't seen. So I spoke to the top 10 countries. They all said no, and within about 2 minutes, they all agreed. And we were off to the races. And now we have favored nations. It's called most favored nations. So if France is paying, let's say, $20 or $30 instead of $10, we are going to pay that 20 or 30. We pay the lowest price, whatever the lowest price is. So if France is paying $100, but Germany's paying $20, we pay what Germany pays. So we go from a horrible situation on drugs, prescription drugs, to the lowest price anywhere in the world. Is that a correct statement, Oz? Because they're going to blame you. If you want to correct me, you can, but you won't be here for long if you do.
You're correct.
Oz has left employment. No, but is that a correct statement?
That's absolutely correct statement. And that's what we want to codify in the great healthcare plan.
Yeah.
That's
why
why
we're
it's so
codifying.
important. Because if the president's not here, there's a flight risk with these companies not obliging us anymore, because I think it's the strength of your personality, but also they know they will follow through with the threats if we don't act. So we believe other countries will change their opinions, and so will drug companies. So we've got to get it into legislation.
Well, if you have the wrong president, the countries have tremendous influence over us. They look, why did we go to an income tax system instead of a tariff system? We had the wealthiest nation. If you go back to the 1800s, 1887, we had money, so much money, we didn't know what to do with it. But the countries at that time, same, no different. They have a tremendous influence over this country for whatever reason. I don't know, but they do. So if you have the wrong president, they'll change the system in 2 minutes. I mean, they'll change it. And the drug companies are very powerful too. You have to deal with them. In this case, it was both. I mean, you had a problem with the drug companies, but you had a tougher problem in theory, other than the fact that I understood how to deal with them. And I'm the tariff king, and the tariff king has done a great job. And I hope we win the Supreme Court case, because if we don't, be a shame for our country. Be a shame. We have a great, safe, beautiful country now. We're doing better than we've ever done. We hit 42 stock market highs during the 11-month period that I've been here. There's never been anything like it. Stock market's hitting a new high again today. So it's it's been incredible. So just to end it on this, because it's such a big subject and it can't be explained by reading. As good as my speechwriter is, he's fantastic, but he can't write it in one sentence. What we're talking about. So we're going to get most favored nations. We will be taking prescription drugs down to levels never even contemplated, and that's all great for healthcare because when you're paying a tiny fraction of what you had anticipated paying prior to today, prior to this month. This all took place over the last month and a half. And the sad part is that when we first announced it, and we did it in a little bit more general form, when we first announced it, the Times did a story on page 22 or something, way back in the little story in the back of the newspaper. This is the biggest revolution in the history of medicine in this country because it's price. You're going to buy the drugs for a small fraction of what you were paying for them last month. And I tell the story of my first term. I was the one after 28 years that got drug prices down. It was either 1/4 or 1/8 of 1%. I got them down for the year. First time in 28 years. I was so proud of myself. I called a news conference. I said, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in 28 years, drug prices have gone down for the year. 1/8 of a point. In fact, I had a chart. It was the worst chart I've ever seen. It was a line that went from January to December, and it was dead straight. You had to get a little, like a carpenter uses to see. I said, this doesn't look good. It's not the greatest line, but I was proud of it because it did. It went down either 1/4 of a point or 1/8 of a point, tiny. And now think of what we're doing. We're bringing medicine down by many times. Nobody's ever seen. And there are two ways of calculating. You could say 1,000%, 2,000, or you could say 90% or 80%. The Democrats want you to say 90 or 80, but there are two ways of calculating it. You understand that, Dan? And we'll take either way. It doesn't matter. But we'll be paying a tiny fraction. So that's going to go into our plan. And what Oz said is very important. It's very important that whoever is in this office is, strong and intelligent. And if they're not, they could, it could be ended. But what we want to do is we want to have it codified, so it's very hard to change. And that's all part of the process. I think it's the greatest revolution because it's financial is, a big part of the drugs. And all of the doctors sitting there know exactly what I'm talking about. They have their patients in Europe and they say, I can't believe it. I'm buying the same thing for, 15% of what I pay in New York or in Chicago. And they're all nodding their heads. That's right. That's not going to happen anymore. We pay now, just to end it, the lowest price in the world, whatever that is. That's what the United States of America will be paying. Isn't that an amazing, long story? I was going to say long, boring. It's not boring. To me, it's long and exciting. It's the biggest thing to happen to healthcare. I don't think there's anything we can do. We can do all of our different methods, but there's nothing we can do that can ever top what we do. And the press should treat it fairly instead of not writing about it, because they don't write about it because it's me. Primarily because it's me, but also because it's Republican. And they don't write about it, and they should be ashamed. But fortunately, the public understands it, and that's why we won the election in a landslide. So it's a great thing. Instead of Americans paying the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by far, by 10 times sometimes, will now pay the lowest cost paid by the lowest nation. So the lowest nation, whatever that is, I hope they negotiate a great deal. I hope somebody out there of all those nations is going to be a better negotiator than everybody else. And whatever they get, we get, Mike. Is that pretty good? Look at Mike. Even the first time I've ever seen him smile. And next, our plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending the money directly to the people. So instead of, this started, and I'm not really a healthcare maven, but I was always a good businessman. It started, I'm reading the paper and I see the money that the insurance companies were making from us on Obamacare. and they're up by 1,000%. 16, I think one was up 1,723%. 1,700%. And it's because of the massive amount of money that's sent to them by the United States government. And I said, why don't we just send it directly to the people instead? And I made that statement. It was a common sense statement. I didn't check with anybody. I didn't even call Oz or anybody. It just made sense. I made a statement and it went viral. Can you believe it? It was so popular. In other words, we cut out the insurance companies. They're making a fortune. And, you know, they're good people. They're business people. I don't blame them. But we cut them out. We pay the money directly to the people. The people love it. I said it as a non-professional in that business. And I made the statement like all of a sudden it's like the biggest story, the biggest story. And I get a call from Caroline, who's around here someplace. She said, sir, we're getting inundated. Margot called me too. Margot, you called me too. Margot, everyone knows Margot. She's been here from the beginning, right from the beginning. But she said, sir, both of them. They said, so we're being inundated by what? You made a statement about healthcare being paid directly to the people into health savings accounts or whatever you want, healthcare accounts. And I said, I did. What's the story? He said, it's crazy. It's blown up. People loved it. And so that's where we started. So Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich. It really was. I mean, maybe not knowingly at the time by Obama, because he didn't know much about this stuff. It was designed by other people in Congress that are total pros that are bought off by the insurance companies. And the problem we'll have with this is we'll get no Democrat votes, even though it should be very bad for them if they don't. But maybe you'll get some. You'll call some of your friends, fellas, and Bob, you'll call some of your friends over on the other side. I don't know how they can reject it. It's just so popular. It's so compelling. So Obamacare was designed to make insurance companies rich with taxpayer subsidies, and I want that extra money straight to the health savings accounts for you. And you can choose your own health care. You go out and negotiate your own health care. It makes people entrepreneurs, mini entrepreneurs. They'll pick the health care that's best for them because it's so different. A young person, they need health care for different reasons, and an old person doesn't need certain things that a young person needs, and vice versa. To further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to insurance brokers and corporate middlemen. We're getting rid of the middlemen. How long have you heard doctors, all these doctors over there, look so smart. They're all brilliant people. I assume you're brilliant, otherwise you wouldn't be here, right? I assume we have the best. Do we have the best of the doctors? I would imagine, right? Hey, how cool is the White House? Okay. They're always in operating rooms. I wouldn't want to be in an I don't like operating rooms, but they do. But how cool is the White House, right? The coolest place on earth. And this is where it all begins. This is where we came up with a little concept about a place called Venezuela. How did that work out? And this is going to be the same thing in terms of its precision, its importance is so big. It's going to work just like that. Venezuela was so amazing. But I equate that to other things because we can do other things like that. It doesn't always have to be in Minnesota,
like the best of both worlds,
where everything is corrupt, where they have healthcare centers that nobody shows up and somebody's making millions of dollars, where they have daycare centers where there are no kids. It's a scam. It's a big scam. It's like a horrible thing. We have a country that was great. We have a country that's now great again. It's really come a long way. Make America Great Again is almost going to be obsolete because our country is very close to, we were going to keep America great. We have to switch to keep America great. But I don't know, there's something about MAGA we should never change. If Susie said, don't change, we like MAGA. Everybody likes MAGA. So we want to make this precision, just like a Venezuela, just like the attack on the Iran nuclear weapons, which wiped that out, just like all of the other things we do, they're precision. We want to make it the opposite of Minnesota, California, and all these places that are so badly run. So to further reduce insurance premiums, my plan ends the giant kickbacks to those insurance brokers and corporate middlemen that you've been hearing about for so long. It also funds the so-called cost-sharing reduction program to bring down the cost of the most common plans on the exchanges by more than 15%. And next, the Great Healthcare Plan mandates unprecedented accountability and transparency from insurance companies and all healthcare providers. We want transparency. You're not allowed to ask a doctor how much is it going to cost. You're going to have your heart ripped out, and you're not allowed to negotiate. This is a giant scam. It's in certain ways, look, nothing can compare to most favored nations. But when you give yourself the right to negotiate, you're not allowed to even ask how much it costs. You're supposed to go into a hospital and get operated on. Then they send you a bill and you have to file for bankruptcy. Not going to let that happen. So we're going to have insurance companies and healthcare providers going to have great, and hospitals, great transparency. The word transparency is a very important word. So they can't get away with ripping you off any longer. It requires insurance companies to make it easy for you to compare plans. You got to be able to compare plans. You can't do that now. You're not allowed to do that. It's not even believable. I tell you what, I used to sit before I was a politician home, and I used to say, how is that possible? Things happen that I guess it's just the forces of nature, the forces of power, and you end up with very, very badly treated people, and they won't stand for it. But these forces are going to release an earthquake of reduced price healthcare. You're going to have massively reduced costs. This is no longer we're going to cut it by the famous 1/8 of a point. You're going to have massively reduced healthcare, and it's going to be massively better. You're going to have great healthcare at a much lower price, which is the two things. We want great healthcare and we want low price. You're going to have great healthcare at low price. Now you have terrible healthcare at a high price. You have horrible, horrible Obamacare healthcare. Like everything else he did, it was crap. It was a horrible plan. It was from day one and should have never been approved. It was a very sad night that night when there was a thumb raise. Most importantly, will require any hospital or insurer who accepts Medicare or Medicaid to prominently post all prices. You're going to post your prices at their place of business. Something they don't have to do, something they're not even allowed to do. We'll have the maximum price transparency, and the cost will come down just by that. Not even talking about favored nations. The price will come down. So just in conclusion, I'm calling on Congress to pass this framework into law so that we can get immediate relief to the American people, including rural America. And I hope to get Democrat votes. They know, they saw it. I know a lot of Democrats. And they say that plan is unbelievable. Are you going to vote? Well, I'm going to try. They have tremendous pressure on them. Vote no. Vote no. We have a couple of Republicans. Thomas Massey always votes no. He's like, something wrong with the guy. If you have any clinical psychiatrists in there, maybe go check out his mind. But he always votes no. He's a very bad person. He's a very bad Republican, bad American when you always vote no. Just vote no. Do you approve? No. You know, there's not a thing you can say to him either, Lola. Look, Lola wants to be nice. He likes to get along with everybody. I don't. But they vote no. But so I don't know. You know, you have some people that are very, I call him Rand Paul Jr. Rand Paul always votes. I don't know why he votes no, but I guess he thinks it's good politics. I got him elected twice. If I didn't endorse him, he wouldn't have been elected. But he doesn't reciprocate, and I guess that's okay. But I want to hear now, if I could, from Dr. Oz, and then we're going to have Dan Sullivan say a few words, and Rob and Mike, and Governor, you're going to say a few words, and we appreciate you being here very much. You're doing a fantastic job. I just want to leave by saying that this is the biggest thing to ever happen to healthcare in our country. It will not be
According to
covered
statistics, most
that
of you
way
voted
by
for him.
the fake news, and that's a sad thing. It will probably not be voted positively by the Democrats, and that's a sad thing. They all know how good it is. I think we can make healthcare into a Republican issue because the Republicans are going to be close to unanimous on this. It should be unanimous. Maybe we won't be unanimous, but it'll be close. But we have a small majority. We probably need a little bit of help from the Democrats. So whatever we can do, we're going to do it. It's the biggest thing to happen to healthcare, maybe from the beginning. So Oz, would you take it away, please? Thank you very much.
Mr. President. Mr. President, thank you for standing up for American healthcare. And I just want to underline this fundamentally important issue. We need Congress to help craft the Great America Healthcare Plan. And the Great Healthcare Plan will work. It's a brilliantly conceived framework And as it comes to the American people, they understand that they'll want it. And it should represent the analogous situation, similar to what you did so brilliantly last spring with the working families tax cut legislation that the president mentioned, has created the Rural Health Transformation Fund, which is why we're here today. I want to put a little bit of texture around why this is such an important issue, because the Rural Health Transformation Fund is the largest investment ever in American history in our rural communities. 50% increase in the amount of money that Medicaid, which Secretary Kennedy and I regulate, into our rural communities, $50 billion. You can do the math, it's $1 billion per state, and that's an important factor because it got them competing. There's 60 million rural Americans, and these folks do not have access to the same care that's available in urban and suburban America. Their life expectancy, if they're in a vulnerable situation, is 9 years shorter, because your zip code actually is your destiny. It determines how long you're going to live, and we can make a dent in this because the high rates of chronic disease and other ailments that plague our rural areas are often driven because they don't have access to care. That's going to change because of the Sentinel legislation. And again, it's similar teams, the same leadership, same president, same Congress that passed the Working Families Tax Cut legislation, which is incredibly popular around the country and will make the great healthcare plan successful as well. From the day the legislation was signed to create this wonderful fund, this transformational fund, the team at CMS, which is under Secretary Kennedy, began working. And they're here today. Steph Carlton, outstanding Chief of Staff, Alina Chekai, and Emily Chan. That day started working. It was July the 4th, by the way, on the specific vision for the program. How do you actually get the money out the door in 6 months? The president was insistent, did not want the money in Washington. So we began working closely to make sure that we use the money not as a Band-Aid, but to empower those closest to the challenges that rural patients face. And who are those people? The 50 people who know rural healthcare the best? The governors. They wanted the money out of Washington into the governor's hands, and that was done in a remarkable way. The governors thought big. We have one here from Nebraska who was actually the first to start working on community engagement, which is part of that legislation as well. But we have to right size healthcare in rural America, and that's an important phrase. All 50 states submitted amazing ideas to transform rural healthcare in ways that should have been done decades ago. The CMS team awarded each team their portion of the $50 billion investment precisely with the same precision that we took Venezuela leadership, convicted individual, and with Iran as well, the same precision on time before the end of the year, and got it out of Washington into the states. Now I want to take a step back and do a little thought experiment, Mr. President, if you want to do this. If you, and God forbid this happened, had turned your head the other way in Butler, Pennsylvania, it wouldn't have been an ear injury. Now, I've been to Butler. I'm from Pennsylvania. Butler General Hospital is a good hospital. They don't have neurosurgery there. If you have an injury to the head, you have a golden hour to get cared for. You were taken to Butler General Hospital because the injury, thankfully, was not as lethal as it was designed to be. It wasn't the problem. But if you'd had a head injury, you could have had your life saved. But without a neurosurgeon, and there is no neurosurgeon at Butler General Hospital, unfortunately, you wouldn't have an option because Pittsburgh is a far, far ride away. That's the closest metropolitan area where there are lots of neurosurgeons. But with this bill, this legislation rather, this funding of $50 billion, Pennsylvania got its share. And they're going to be able to build telemedicine hookups, even telerobotic surgery that would allow an injured individual in a car accident or any other reason that is a head injury in Butler General and rural hospitals across the country to be able to access the best care our nation has to offer so rural America will not suffer. That's the promise of what this money offers to our nation. It's not just paying the bills, it's not just picking up the pieces, it's actually transforming using technology we have widely available in urban America, the way we save lives in rural America. Each state competed aggressively because for $1 billion, Mr. President, you'll fight pretty hard. And they gave us brilliant ideas that they're talking with each other about. So we're actually creating teams that now across state lines will connect because they're all Americans and they base their advances on several pillars. Secretary Kennedy can talk about MAHA because there's MAHA elements to this as well, but very precisely sustainable access. We asked states, how can we bring top care closer, like in the thought experiment I gave you for Butler General? In Pennsylvania and North Carolina, they're regional spoke models, which and hub and spoke means you've got a big hospital in the city and they adopt or work closely with some rural hospitals to solve the challenges of fragmented care. And that actually works. You share administrative back office work, you group purchase your stuff, you save money, you exchange medical records. Alabama has no OBGYNs in many of their counties. So they're doing something pretty cool. They're actually having robots do ultrasounds on these pregnant moms. So we can actually get those images back to the big center. So we know if the child has a problem and we know if that mother's at risk. We have one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world, in the country with the best medicine in the world. It's often stated, people ask, does healthcare stink in America? Well, they don't like it. Would you leave America to get healthcare elsewhere? Nobody leaves. We have the best healthcare if you can get to it. We don't want rural America left behind anymore. As an aside, by the way, we've talked about the most favored nation drug pricing. One of the first companies and areas we used most favored nation drug pricing is fertility drugs. That's why we're going to have so many Trump babies, because we've dropped dramatically the most expensive part of the fertility space. And so America no longer will pay so many times more. In that case, it was 10 times more for the same fertility drugs that they're available for moms who want to get pregnant in Europe. I want to thank Terry, who's here as a nurse practitioner. Andrew.
I don't know if you guys can hear me, but you guys asked me for Donald Trump's health plan. So I thought this was the perfect video so we can watch it together and talk about it. Okay.
Doctor, West Virginia, New Mexico, they're representatives of the workforce in rural America. But there are only two of them here representative because we don't have enough people working in rural America. It's a big challenge. So Delaware is creating its own medical school, their first ever medical school in a rural part of the state. So that can get more local talent that will stay local in those parts of Delaware. Michigan is launching the high school to healthcare pipeline grant program. They want to take kids out of high school in Michigan, local rural communities, and get them into the system, get them trained as nurses because they'll stay home because they're from those communities and they'll save lives for decades there. These are the types of programs that can get our rural communities and economies up to high gear and keep it that way long after this 5-year funding is done. And finally, tech innovation. Rural communities would benefit the most from high-tech advancement.
Freedom, I do think he's going to give us health care better than the Obamacare Act. That's unaffordable, okay?
Like we just discussed, is possibly if there was a head trauma case. Many states want to partner with our CMS data interoperability network. It was created by Amy Gleason, who spearheaded so much of the technology transformation in our government. It's going to support the president's pledge to provide transparency that he mentioned as part of the great healthcare plan. And Congress can ensure these are all available for decades to come if we can get this legislation through. As in the tech innovation forefront, just to give you a couple examples, Texas and Hawaii are making targeted investments in statewide telehealth, so everybody has telehealth. The best doctors for the best knowledge available where you are. We'll meet you where you are. If you're a vet and depressed and you're thinking of taking your life, we'll be there. Just let us know you're in trouble and we'll help. Alaska wants to deploy, and I'm going to hand it to Senator Sullivan in a second, wants to deploy unmanned pharmaceutical distribution kiosks and drones that will deliver medications, because in the North Slope of Alaska, you can't get there this time of year. So these technologies, they exist. Why we use them in Midtown Manhattan, we should use them in rural Alaska. This administration is committed to collaborating with all 50 states, all 50, red and blue, all 50 states, to carry out bold plans to tackle the challenges that local communities face. We're not pouring funds blindly, however, into a broken system. We're going to carefully, precisely, as the president said, target this investment with healthcare fund running rampant. And I was in Minnesota this week, Mr. President. It's worse than we've heard. But Minnesota, pardon the pun, is just the tip of the iceberg. California is the varsity team when it comes to fraud, waste, and abuse. We're not going to let that happen. We want transparency for this $50 billion investment. We owe it to Capitol Hill. We owe it to this president. And we want accountability to be a top priority. For that reason, we've created an Office of Rural Health Transformation at CMS for long-term oversight. The office led by Alina Check-Guide. Alina, again, was one of the people who helped create this program in the forefront. Will guide, she was in the first administration, Mr. President. She's going to guide states in implementing their rural health transformation plans, coordinate all the federal and state partnerships, making sure there's appropriate oversight. In addition, every single state is going to have a dedicated project officer. We will be there with you. We're going to help you. Please engage us. You've got lots of lives at risk. It's a true state-federal partnership, unbelievable, extraordinary milestone for healthcare. Your zip code will no longer dictate whether you have excellent healthcare. Your zip code will no longer be your destiny. It's not going to dictate your life expectancy. Mr. President, I cannot thank you enough for the leadership that it took to get this $50 billion investment in rural healthcare. They don't make a lot of noise. They just want to get the job done. You stood up for them in Congress. God bless you for making this possible. Please do it again. Please do it again for the great healthcare plan. Let me hand it to Dan Sullivan, who's a spectacular member of the Senate, and obviously Alaska, they're pretty rural.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. And Mr. President, I am very honored to be here. This is a really exciting day. I want to thank you, sir, and your team. Worked really closely with Dr. Oz, Secretary Kennedy, many others. You know, this is a great example of how Congress, working closely with your administration, can achieve historic things. This is historic for our rural health care, certainly in the Working Families Tax Cuts Act. You combine it with what you were talking about, sir, in terms of drug price reductions for all Americans. So these are two things that are happening right now in our historic, and I agree 100% with you, Mr. President, hasn't got a lot of press, even though it is historic. It's going to really impact people in rural America, especially my state, this fund that I want to talk about. But what you've done on the drug pricing is even...
And will you get Lisa Murkowski to vote for it?
She voted for it.
No, are you going to get her to vote for the great, big, beautiful health care bill that we're doing?
When we get that, I think MFN drug pricing, I bet
No,
every
are you gonna get her to
member
vote
of
for it?
Congress votes
Are you
on
going to
that.
get her to vote for it?
We'll work on it, sir. We'll work on it. So let me actually talk a little bit about the context of what's going on in Alaska and how this relates to it. You know, after 4 years of being locked up and shut down by the previous administration, we are on the cusp of achieving some huge goals in my state that we've been working on for decades. We have this huge resource development boom going on the North Slope of Alaska. I was with a bunch of the Inupiat Alaska Native people who live up there. They're so excited about what's happening there. We are, as you know, Mr. President, building icebreakers. We're home porting some of those in Alaska. We have huge historic infrastructure and economic and national security investments happening. In particular, the gas line that you have championed so much, the big LNG project. All of these things are happening. It's really exciting. By the way, all of these issues I just talked about, all of those were in the Working Families Tax Cuts Act. So there's a lot of excitement. But Mr. President, in addition to a strong economy, the thousands of jobs that these projects are going to have, we have to have a strong healthcare system in every state. And rural Alaska, as you mentioned, as Dr. Oz mentioned, has often, almost always been an afterthought when it comes to investing in healthcare in America. And that's not happening anymore after the Working Families Tax Cuts Act. As you said, Mr. President, as Dr. Oz said, this is the biggest investment in rural healthcare in American history. $50 billion, the award the great state of Alaska was able to get working with Dr. Oz, and the parameters of the bill was about $1.4 billion over 5 years to transform our healthcare system. So that's really exciting, but here's the big deal. This is not just about money. This bill isn't just about money. The reason it's so impactful is that it's focused on letting states and governors design the system that they need. Alaska has many unique healthcare challenges, Mr. President, as you know, but for decades, the mentality in Washington, D.C. is this approach to one size fits all. D.C. tells every state, here's how you have to do it. And it never works. It never works. It certainly doesn't work in my state. I'll just give you one example, the federal match on Medicaid. Our state typically has the lowest match in the country, even though we have the highest healthcare costs and highest delivery costs in the country. The one size fits all doesn't work. This bill is different. This bill that we wrote with your administration is all about allowing states to design a system that works for them with CMS guidance. And this will be a generational opportunity for every state to bring healthcare closer to home, to make it more responsive to the people who live in that state, and make it more affordable. I'll just end with this, Mr. President. Like I said, a lot of excitement. We got Governor Dunleavy, who sends his greetings, was hosting the stakeholders in Alaska who are going to be applying for these funds, working with CMS in our state. Over the last couple of days, we have over 300 people coming to these meetings on how to use this transformation fund to better healthcare in Alaska. And this is going to help my constituents, it's going to help every American, and it is really exciting. And I want to thank, again, you, Mr. President, and your team.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. We're going to have to go very fast. We're going to have to go we are way behind schedule, and I have a couple of meetings that are very important. Nothing more important than this, but let's go. Come on, Bob. Rob?
Fire round.
Please.
Mr. President, thank you very much for having me here today. And I represent Northeastern Pennsylvania. You're governor from Scranton, Pennsylvania, so never had the opportunity to meet. But I inherited a very similar problem. But before I was even sworn into office, I had two hospitals, Moses Taylor and Regional in Scranton, that were eminently facing closure. Right. And it's been, and working with Dr. Oz, Administrator Oz, and the CMS team has been absolutely incredible on so many levels. And thank you again for intervening and shepherding us through that process. But when you're looking at Pennsylvania, we're going to receive over $193 million. In 5 years, it will be over $1 billion for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And when you think about Northeastern Pennsylvania, clinics and regional hospitals, rural hospitals are the backbones of our communities. So making a targeted investment that is not just going to Band-Aid over poor operational procedures, it's going to actually transform rural healthcare. That's what we are so excited about. Pike County in my district is the largest growing county in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania where there's not a hospital. The nearest commute to a hospital is over 55 minutes away. So these are going to be funds that will be so imperative. The unprecedented investment is going to be incredible. And thank you for having me up here and being a part of this journey.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a great opportunity to be here with you and your team. Dr. Oz has been a tremendous asset. The $50 billion commitment to rural health transformation is critical. New York State is going to see about $212 million in the first year, which is vital for workforce development, access to care, primary, behavioral, maternal, emergency, telemedicine, et cetera. How were we able to do it? Because we rooted out waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. And Democrats will just say we cut $1 trillion in Medicaid. That's not what we did. We said, you need to be eligible. You need to be a citizen. You need to work if you are able-bodied without dependent children. We reined in the provider tax and state-directed payments, which have exploded over years. And we are taking this money, not only preserving Medicaid for the IDD community, our seniors, our children, our single mothers, but we're investing it in rural health. When you look at Obamacare, health insurance premiums have risen 96% since Obamacare took effect. Insurance revenues up 2,000%. Mr. President, you are 1,000% correct that the insurance companies are the problem. They wrote Obamacare. It's to their benefit, and the American people are being screwed. And so we can get a bipartisan agreement on what you are trying to do. When it comes to lowering drug prices, I will tell you, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies is in my district in Westchester County. I met with them in 2024 and I said, what would you do to lower drug prices? And the response was, go after the European price controls. You are spot on taking on the price controls that have been put in place. Most favored nation is the single best thing we can do to lower prescription drug prices here in America. The pharmaceutical companies will tell you that privately. And that is the fundamental fact. We need to go after PBM reform. Associated healthcare plans, we put that on the floor. Every Democrat voted against it, every Republican for it. Those would reduce costs by 11% because businesses, small businesses, would be able to pool together and purchase healthcare plans at a lower rate. We need to go after the PBMs and make sure that insurance companies are not owning providers and owning PBMs. That is what is driving up the cost of healthcare in this country. You've talked about IVF. I've been a big champion on this. We need to make sure the insurance companies cover it. I also have a tax bill to provide tax incentives to Americans, and what you have done to lower IVF costs on the drugs is critical. And you are 1,000% correct on expanding HSAs. I fundamentally believe that we can address the issues with Obamacare, make sure that the American people have access to care at a lower rate. We can get a bipartisan agreement to address the EPTC with expansion of HSAs so that the money goes to the people and not the insurance companies. We are committed to working to get this done, and I thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President, gigantic thank you, and thank you for your incredible leadership. Your courage gives me more courage to say it the way it is. We're working very hard in Nebraska to run government like a business. This investment into rural America, which, by the way, in all of Nebraska, you poll 85%. I don't know what the hell's wrong with the other 15, but your 85 is a pretty good number. I think, be very, very brief. This plan will allow us to do common sense, pragmatic investments in rural Nebraska, and they will be sustainable. We will make sure that we don't need another dollar after 5 years. We are working on simple things like food. Real food is good medicine. We're working on making sure that all of our veterans, Nebraska is 500 miles long, 250 miles wide, no longer are veterans going to have to drive to Omaha to get care. We're going to take care of our veterans at home. Investments in technology so we can educate our children in rural Nebraska to provide health care are really, really important issues. And I think that the other is we've developed what we call 6 regions, 1 Nebraska, and that will focus and take advantage of those. So we're working on what we have and then being able to use these resources to also help us with mental health and drug care as well. So we're incredibly grateful. Nebraska, we work hard. We're about faith, family, hard work, the American dream, and we don't ask for much help in rural Nebraska. So we're really grateful for this investment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. 1 minute.
How about 30 seconds? How about 30 seconds, sir? As a small town kid from Glen Rose, Texas, population 1,200, where I grew up, what you are doing today changes everything. And on behalf of our farmers and our ranchers in rural America, it is a new day, and we're so grateful. The final thing I'll say is I think about Abraham Lincoln, who also sat in this room, and I think about other presidents throughout American history. And you think about how the fundamental course of American history has changed in certain pivot points throughout history. I think about you as the peace president, 8 wars solved, more coming. I think about you as the security president, a border that is secure for the first time and more than any time in American history. I think about you as the prosperity president. We talk about, Kevin, wages going up.
We'll give
poverty
her more
coming
than
down.
1 minute. In fact,
Oh no, I'm almost done.
she
I'm almost done.
she can speak as long as she wants.
I'm almost done. The prosperity president and what's happening. Think about you as the affordability president. Everything is coming down. Inflation is coming down. The cost of groceries is coming down, fuel, housing, etc. And sir, today, in the last 2 weeks, you will go down in history as the greatest president for the health of this country in history. Think about our new dietary guidelines from Bobby Kennedy and I, but with your leadership, putting real food back in the middle of our health conversation. Whole milk for healthy kids with those dairy farmers 2 days ago. We were in Pennsylvania talking about it yesterday. And today, putting the patient and the doctor back in charge of healthcare with great leaders like Governor Pillen. God bless you,
Thank
your
you very
leadership,
much.
and all of our leaders. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. It's been a great day. And Terry and Andrew, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. I hear you're just outstanding people
Yeah.
and have really helped. We appreciate it. You want to say something?
Thank you, President Trump, and I would just echo everything that's been said here. Thank you very much for what you're doing. I'm from the northwest corner of New Mexico. We also work with the Navajo Nation,
Right?
and so we have a lot of rural areas, and our state and in our county. I'm also a county commissioner. So I take as being a nurse practitioner, a county commissioner with a heavy weight in order to see this happen. And it will help produce accessibility, which is a huge thing. People have to drive for miles in order to see a healthcare provider, workforce, quality care, and sustainability for our hospitals. That's what we're looking at. We meet next week in Santa Fe with our legislators. And so we're going to be addressing the licensure compact as well.
And they've got to clean up their elections in New Mexico
We're working.
because those elections are so corrupt. It's incredible. If they
Okay.
clean it up, we win by a lot, but they are really corrupt elections. So I think if you want to do this, you have to tell them to start working on that. It's unbelievably one of the more corrupt states in terms of that. But you uncorrupted, so I appreciate you being
Well,
here.
the
Terry.
Northwest Corner loves you.
I know, I know.
Thank you.
I know we have great love in New Mexico, but it's, the elections are so corrupt, not much you can do about it. We have that with numerous states. Thank you very much. Andrew, thank you very much. You have anything to say?
Mr. President, thank you for having me here today. It's an honor to be here to represent my community. I'm from Northwest Georgia, grew up in West Virginia. To represent my colleagues and my profession, it's truly an honor. This is so important to our patients, to put the physician and the patient back together and take everything else out of the middle. I practice in cardiology. Having efficient, effective, high-quality care is so important, and time is of the essence, and patients need to be able to have close proximity to their doctors to get the care that they deserve. Quality of care shouldn't matter about the zip code. We should be able to do what we are best at and take care of our patients on an equal playing field, and this certainly helps that. I greatly appreciate all that you've done for the American people. You are an inspiration to us. You make us believe no problem is too big to solve. I mean, you are a representative of that, and I thank you for your leadership. Thank you for this opportunity to be here, and thank you for putting healthcare at the forefront. It's so important to every patient and every family that we take care of.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Great job. Great job you both do. Amazing. I've heard unbelievable things. And doctors in particular, thank you very much for being here. We very much appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. It's a big story. Thank you.
Whew, okay, that was a lot. I'm gonna have to revisit that one. But Donald Trump said a lot of things. Can y'all hear me okay? That was what's good, Car? I see you. Donald Trump said a lot of things, and I'm glad that he touched on Obamacare. I told you guys before, Obamacare is not affordable for a lot of Americans. There's narrow provider networks, high deductibles, high premiums. There's just a lot. Thank you for the video. You're welcome, Jim. You're welcome. The best part of the show, the Zoom. Yeah, that was, I had some technical difficulties there. I'm so sorry, you guys, but we got through the video. I will be following Donald Trump's health plan, which will work a lot better than Obamacare, which Donald Trump said was created by the insurance companies, and that's why it doesn't work. A lot of providers don't take it. I work in a doctor's office. They don't take it. But I like the video. I think that Donald Trump is doing an amazing job. He has not been in office for a full year yet, and he's already made some major changes. So let me see what you guys have to say about it. I bet you, okay, I don't know what you're saying. Claude said, we shall see. And Claude, what part of it are you pessimistic about? I think you guys have your hands full with Manzani. ICE have been arresting and holding Native Americans. Nori, no one's even talking about that right now. But since you brought it up, that's simply not true. President Trump, oh Lord, I can't tell what you're talking about. I can't tell. Okay. She said having the technical difficulties is if you believe anything that Trump tells you. Why wouldn't I believe it? So far, everything that he said everything that Donald Trump said is he's working on, which we all see what's happening at the border. You guys are putting those comments in the chat. And I take it that you're a Trump supporter. I support the Constitution, okay? I support the Constitution. I never really said who I support. I just report on the news. but you could probably figure it out. How are those peace deals by day 120? I don't see. Have I visited the border? I absolutely have visited the border. Yes, I have. I live in Southern California, and what I saw at the border was not good. I saw illegal immigrants crossing the border, and no one did anything. Laughing, didn't look like they were here for, you know, I can't say what they were here for, but they crossed the border and no one did anything about it. So yes, I have been to the border. I can't stand these slow liberals and Democrats. I don't I don't I really just want to read your comments because it was you guys were pretty rough tonight. You were. And usually I have the energy to match it, but today I don't have the energy to match it, you guys. I had a crazy day. I just wanted to share some news with you guys because we've been talking about healthcare a lot. We still got to get into the big, beautiful bill and all that. But I wanted to talk about this because it was a major announcement. And there's other things that's going on, but I don't think I can get through another video tonight. Wait until you get deported and then tell me how you feel. Jason, why would I get deported? I think you just wanted to get my attention. Why would I get deported? I support my president. I'm American. Jermaine, I support the president as well. Hey, Damage. Where's the mods? Damage. This was a rough stream. Cosmo Q. This was rough, you guys. However, I really think that I'm not gonna say it. Donald Trump coming up with this healthcare plan and lowering the cost of prescription drugs is what needs to be done because Americans pay a high cost in healthcare and we pay more for prescription drugs than any other country. So it's just time. It's time for it to be done. Donald Trump is making it happen. And I really don't understand all of the insults that's coming from the left. It's as if you go against everything that Donald Trump says. Now, I'm going to have to play for you guys a video from the ex-president Obama, okay, where he talked about his deportation plan and how he was getting rid of illegal immigrants. There was no outrage from the left, and Donald Trump deported a lot of immigrants. And there was no criticism, but Donald Trump talks about it, and you guys have this fake outrage, and I really don't understand. But I guess I don't know. It's all the left does is insult. Joe, it's a selective anger. The people in the chat don't care about illegal immigration and mass deportations because they would have cared about it during the Obama administration. So I just have big hair. Why are you guys talking about my hair? I have big fluffy hair. What do you want me to do? Trump jobs report says you're lying, patriot. What part of it am I lying about? Let me use my phone to see our comments because I can't see what messages are blocked. I'm self-insured. I pay a reasonable price. Damage, I'm self-insured too. My healthcare cost me about, I almost said $1 million. That's why I know I'm tired. $1,000 a month for my PPO plan. And it's worth every penny. However, I still say what I said about Obamacare. The world stands with Greenland. What has Donald Trump done for me? I'm more of a person that says, what have I done for my country? Donald Trump is the commander-in-chief, and it's up to us. If you want to make it in this country, you can't make it in this country. You can't come with excuses. You can't come up with anything else. I love the fact that Donald Trump is cleaning up the borders. I love the fact that he's making it so you can't be on food stamps and WIC and EBT and all these things forever, and you have to work and get a job. And I have no problem with it at all. I have no problem with Donald Trump getting rid of DEI and all these other programs. And I hate to say that, but I just love the fact that we can come together as Americans and not have all this division. Now, right now, there's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of fear mongering. A lot of people that's against President Trump. But in reality, Donald Trump won the popular vote. He won the electoral vote because the American people believe in what he is saying. I don't believe fake news. I don't believe the propaganda against Donald Trump. I know that he's one of the strongest presidents, and he's the one president that actually says, hey, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and he's doing X, Y, and Z. So if you want me to believe anything other than that, I just can't go against the facts. Claude, you like my shirt or whatever. We really want to know when these criminal politicians are going to pay for their treasonous crimes. Who's the criminal? Who's the criminal? Trump put a tariff. Oh, Cosmo. Okay. A woman like this really exists. Joe, I can't hide my beliefs. Like, I can't. And I feel that a lot of other people do believe, but Nori, I watch more than Fox News. I feel that a lot of you know what? I don't really want to talk to you guys right now. You guys are being pretty rough. Let me say this. When you start going to insults and you belong to the political left, I don't even have my mods block you guys, because that's what people do when they can't reason this. They go to a bunch of insults. I think I know what can make you guys feel better right now. I think muffle mouth. I'm dumb. Okay. I got you. I got you. Give me a second. Let me go on mute, you guys. It's gonna get quiet. Ralph, they don't like my big hair. It's okay. I'm used to insults. They call me fluffy or fat and everything else. It's okay. I'll be right back. I think that we need something to cheer us up, and so, you know, let's watch our commander-in-chief. It always makes me feel better. Everything I shared for educational purpose only. I'm gonna go back on mute, you guys, and maybe when I come back, you'll be a little nicer. Here we go. Oh. Donald Trump renames the Southern Boulevard in his honor, and I just love how he's renaming stuff. And let's watch. Hang on. I need to put myself here.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Well, I am honored to stand before you as the sponsor of the legislation that established President Donald J. Trump Boulevard. But I have to be honest and give credit where credit is due. Where's my husband? Just after the election, my husband, Eric, actually said, Meg, you need to rename Southern Boulevard President Donald J. Trump Boulevard. And I immediately maybe snapped at him and said, Eric, give me a few minutes. I'm a freshman. I need some time. But after a few minutes to process, I realized he was right, which is rare in our marriage. I might point that out. But I realized that it also needed to happen. This is something that was a great idea. I'm in this role because of our good friend who's here today, FHP Director Dave Kerner, he reached out to me and told me, Meg, our state needs more servant leaders that care. And I'm here because President Trump spoke common sense when common sense was completely under attack. So I'm so grateful to be a warrior here for you, sir, and to have honestly I never thought I'd be in this role. Just a mom rescuing a lot of animals and listening to you speak, President Trump, you speak common sense. You speak exactly what the people want and have been wanting to hear for many, many years. Thank you. Thank you. When I first filed the language, though, I was told it wasn't allowed, that we couldn't do this. But I am the youngest of four, and my father did coin me the nudge. So it served me well in the Florida House determination. I will have to tell you that it was not just me. There were so many members that, you know, we would kind of have the bill naming. The process is so interesting. It was first my bill. It rolls into the road naming bill. And from there, it goes to the House and the Senate. So there's so many people that are involved. Speaker Perez, you're such an incredible supporter. And in fact, in your inaugural remarks, you said this is a member-driven process. And this is exactly what this is, a member-driven process. This was exactly how it played out. We had Representative Nix, Representative Brannon, Senator President Albritton in the Senate, and other senators, and so many members and staff that really worked hard to make this happen. I'm a woman of faith, and I want to say Romans 13:7 says, "Give honor and respect to all those whom it is due." And President Trump, today we're doing exactly that. We need to honor and respect you and your family for everything that you have done for us in our country. So thank you. I want to thank you to all the officials that voted and helped make this happen. It doesn't just even happen in the state. As I learned as a freshman, you have to then go through many municipalities, which was a learning process for me as well. But I want to thank my staff, Kate, Lex, and Alexander. You guys are all rock stars. I'm so grateful to have you part of my team. President Donald J. Trump Boulevard now stands as a permanent reminder for courage, leadership, and unapologetic patriotism. I am proud to have played a role in to make that happen. And I'm looking forward to the airport where greatness takes off. You like that? Where greatness takes off? It is truly my honor to introduce the most incredible president of our lifetime, President Donald J. Trump.
That is something that's very special. That was a beautiful introduction. And it was from the heart. I could see that. Sometimes I get introduced not from the heart. We know that. We know about that, Danny. But this was amazing to see so many dignitaries, political leaders from Florida and beyond. It's really nice. It looks very nice that you're carrying it. That's beautiful. Thank you. Wow. That's the real deal. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All top people in this room, really amazing people. And we have a lot of media back there. We appreciate you're here. We very much appreciate that you're here. See, I'm being nice today to the media. I think I have. But a very special thanks to State Representative Meg Weinberger. The job she's doing is amazing. And she's going to do very well politically. I used to tell her, I don't know, that's a tough race. That's a tough race, but go do it. And she did it, and she won. And then a lot of people didn't think she was going to be able to win, beating people that were doing it for a long time. You weren't doing it for a long time, but you've become a veteran very fast, and you've done very well. Congratulations. We appreciate it. They call her MAGA Meg. And now when you have that, you can never lose a race. You can't lose. People just didn't understand that you can't lose a race, right, with that. Thank you, darling. And where's your husband, by the way? Where is he, Eric?
My arm handy.
Wow, great job. Thank you very much for that reference. That was a very important reference. Thank you, Eric, very much. And speaking of Eric, I have Eric Trump right here, who's a great guy. He's a great young guy, and he's done a fantastic job. When I'm away, I don't know, I look at, I see things happening all over the world, and him, the whole family has been so terrific, but Eric has been right there at the front, and I appreciate it very much. He's a great boy. We love that boy. We love that boy. Thank you, honey. Appreciate it. And I'm thrilled to be back in my home state of Florida, and this truly incredible privilege. I moved down here. I love New York, but it was just worked that way. And, we won Florida so much and by so big. And it just continues. We even have Club 47 here. Look at these representatives. Used to be Club 45. Then they said, I think we're going to change it to Club 47. And we're having a good time. Let me tell you, we're doing a job for our country. We're saving our country, because if they would have gotten in, this country would have been a place known as Venezuela on steroids. It would have been in big trouble. So we did a job, and so many of the people, Gina, so many of the people in the room, they helped so much. It's incredible. So I'm tremendously honored that the main boulevard from Palm Beach International Airport to the beautiful Mar-a-Lago is being renamed in my honor. That's a very important stretch. A lot of people, a lot of important people, and I don't care if they're important or not, but important and not important people travel on that road. But I love the people of Florida. I love the entire Palm Beach area. I've been here for a long time, and I want to thank you all for being here. I'll remember this amazing gesture for the rest of my life, and in particular, Meg and Eric and all of the people that work so hard for this. I also want to thank a man who's amazing. He's an administrator. He's one of the most talented people in the country at what he does. Joe Abruzzo, he's here someplace. Joe, what a talented guy. There's nobody better in the whole country at what he does. And what he does is not easy, but everybody respects him and everybody listens to him, and he's got great values, but he's got a great sense of design and everything else that you need. You need a lot of capability in that job, and you have every bit of it. Thank you, Joe, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. And who is that young lady? Thank you very much. Fantastic. It's good to have you both. Let me also express my gratitude to all of the members of the Florida House, many of whom I've gotten to know over the years, and the Senate, incredible people. I mean, literally incredible people who united behind the legislation granting me this great honor, including the Speaker of the House, Danny Perez, who I think has a hell of a future. I don't know what you're doing, Danny, but what a future. Wow. Because he has an unlimited political future, but whatever you choose, I'm behind you 100%. You know that. Danny, thank you for a great job. Great job. And State Senator President Ben Albritton, I want to thank you, Ben. Good job you're doing. Everybody's respected in this group. They get along down in Florida, although I can't say that's necessarily always the case. I guess you probably have a couple of people that you maybe not as friendly with, but you are great people. Ben, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Along with state representatives Danny Nix, Chuck Brannon, Chip LaMarca, Mike Redondo, Juan Carlos Porras, and State Senator Debbie Mayfield. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we're also pleased to be joined by many distinguished guests, including Congressman, a friend of mine for a long time, Brian Mast. Thank you, Brian. What a great guy. People love that guy. And another friend of mine and somebody, you talk about attorney generals. There's no better attorney general than this one. He better win this race because I think he's going to. I'm 407-0, and I gave him my strongest endorsement. And James Uthmeyer. So where is James? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're doing good. How are the polls doing? Pretty good? It's a blowout, but let's not say that. Let's say you're winning by one or losing by one. Doesn't make any difference. Get them out to vote, right? It was an honor to endorse you, and congratulations. Doing a great job. And I want to thank Ron, too, because Ron has been really behind this with Meg and everybody else. And we did have his back in 100%. I appreciate it. And it's a great honor. Thank you very much. See you. Florida Agricultural Commissioner Wilton Simpson, who I've been with for a long time, right? I've been with him for a long time. And I appreciate it. Thanks, Wilton. Appreciate it very much. Executive Director of the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, Dave Kerner, who had so much to do with this. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Mayor of Palm Beach, Danielle Moore. She was a terrific woman. Where is Danielle? Thank you, Danielle. We're working on a little project. Nice, beautiful, clean, crisp water, right? And she's leading it, and she's incredible, just like her mother was incredible. And is it? Oh, where's Mom? I want to see Mom. Oh, you look good. You look very good. I haven't seen a former mayor of Palm Beach and highly respected. Who's respected more, you or your mother? I don't know. It's pretty close, right? You're pretty close. She says Mom is respected more. That's good. That's a daughter better say that, right? Thank you, darling. Appreciate it. That's great. Thank you, Danielle. Glad you told me she was here. Former Mayor Leslie Smith is here, who's great and a formerly very good golfer. I think she's still a good golfer. Leslie, where's Leslie? Leslie, thank you very much, Leslie. Thank you. Thank you, darling. I appreciate it. We've known each other for a long time. Incredible people. And the members of the Palm Beach Town Council are here. Thank you all very much. You do a great job. You love the town. I love the town too. I had a lot of choice on towns. And I said, this is the town I want to be in. So we all love it. And it's an honor to have saved Mar-a-Lago. You know, most of these great houses went down. They went down rapidly. And they were subdivided into 25 homes, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll tell you what, this was an honor. But they like me because I saved the house. Somebody said they like me because you're a great president, but they like you more because I saved Mar-a-Lago. Saving Mar-a-Lago was to them more important. Thank you very much. I like you. Thank you very much. Mayor of Palm Beach County, who I endorsed, by the way, Sarah Baxter. Sarah, hi, Sarah. Congratulations, Sarah. So we're at 407-0. We have to make sure that you're going to, but I think it's going to work out very well. Congratulations. You had so many people that said, you got to be with her. I said, I am. So good luck with the election. I know it's going to work out very well. Thank you. Good luck. The members of the County Commission and the West Palm Beach City Commission, who are unbelievable people. They love the area. They work hard and they're good. Where are you? Can you raise your hands a little bit? Great. Thank you. Thank you. Great job you're doing. You know, we're all working together at this place. We're working on a little water project, and if we can get the water perfect, that'll be great. Mayor, you're heading it up from this part of the world, and I know they're working in West Palm Beach in the area, and we'll see whether it's desalinization or filtering. There's a couple of different ways we can do it, but whatever we can do, I think it would be great. We're working along with West Palm Beach also, so thank you, and thank you, Mayor. Dan Newland is here, and Gina Loudon is here, and Linda Soch is here, and Larry and Sue Snowden are here. Thank you, Larry and Sue. Thank you. And basically, just sort of like everybody's here, and it's really something special. We're pleased to be in the same legislation as it renames another section of Southern Boulevard, and a very nice section indeed. I know it well, in honor of 3 brave motorcycle deputies from the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office who were killed last year in a horrific accident. Horrible. It was a horrible situation. But I saw so much love. I saw everybody in this room was there, plus. We had a ceremony in honor of these 3 incredible people. Corporal Luis Paez Jr., who is just, Luis Paez was somebody was loved and respected by so many people. They all said, thank you for being there in honor of her. And Deputy Sheriff Ralph Butch Waller Jr. and Deputy Sheriff Ignacio Dan Diaz. The 3 of them, what happened to them, this was unbelievable. The ceremony was one of the most beautiful and saddest ceremonies that I've ever attended. But I was deeply honored to be there. On May 1st, I bestowed the honor of first ever. These were medals that were worked on by my son, Eric, very hard. We had a great jeweler. Can I say the name of the jeweler? Tiffany. And they came up with a a really incredible medal, and it's called the Medals of Sacrifice. And they did a beautiful job, and it was really led by Eric Trump. So I want to thank you, Eric, too. Yeah, thank you. And unfortunately, when certain events happen like that, and they do happen, they shouldn't happen, but they do happen, we're going to do the medal ceremony, and it's going to be something special. So today we pay tribute to them and to those, to the loved ones. Some of their family members are here. We love their family members, what they went through. Those deputies will live in our hearts forever. In Florida, we'll remember them always with the PBSO Motorman Highway. PBSO Motorman Highway. It's great, beautiful thing. I'm going to see it every time I go up that road. Today's dedication ceremony for President Donald J. Trump Boulevard is special meaning to me because I've always had the unique bond with the great state of Florida. We had tremendous success here. I've been part of the community for more than 40 years. We won big here in Florida all 3 times. We set every record every time. And in 2024, we swept 61 of 67 Florida counties. Nobody's ever done that, and carried the state by almost 2 million votes, which is the record. And then I was followed also from the governor's standpoint with Ron, who did fantastically also. And we've turned this state, there are a few Democrats in this room, I don't want to get into this, but we've turned the state extraordinarily red, I would say, wouldn't you say? You'll find out, you're going to see. But over the past 12 months, Florida's trust and confidence has really paid off because you made a correct choice. 1 year ago, we were, I say it, dead country. The king of Saudi Arabia, I was over in Saudi Arabia getting money for the country. He put up $2 trillion. Gave us, I'd like to invest in the United States, $2 trillion. It's a lot of money. And then I went to Qatar, $2 trillion. And I went to the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed, $2 trillion. So we took in $6 trillion. That's why we have 18, because we got 6 from 3 countries. That helps, right? Laura, is that right? Hi, Laura. Boy, you are something. What spirit you have. Laura Loomer, thank you, honey, for being here. Appreciate it. She's, she can be a little nasty, but to me, she's always nice. So that's all that matters. I want her to stay that way, too. But I was over there, and he looked at me, the king of Saudi Arabia. He said, I can't believe it. This was a few months ago. Took back all that money for the country. He said, I can't believe this is happening because 1 year ago, you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country in the world. And I use that quote all over. And it's true. We were a dead country, and now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're taking in more income than any country. We're doing better than any country. The stock market's doing better than anyone's ever seen before. We have the best stock market we've ever seen. 401ks are doing better than they've ever done before. They're up 78% in many cases. But starting on day one, we fully secured our Southern Boulevard and stopped and think of it, as we were securing Southern Boulevard, making Florida great, we're also securing a thing called the Southern Border and making that great. And we stopped the invasion of our country. So Florida's been ahead of their time. Florida was ahead, it led the way, but we stopped this was an invasion on our border. And, I don't know if this is correct because it can't be correct. It's too good. But for the last 8 months, there have been no people that came into our country illegally. Now, I don't know if that's possible. How do you go from 25 million people in 4 years to 0 people? But the people, Wilton, the people that report this are Democrats. So it must be true. I mean, but it's like 8 months now, and they report it every month. No people came into our country. So I don't know, illegally. A lot of people are coming in legally. They're going through a process, but we don't want the illegal coming in. You look at what's happening in Minnesota, it's so sad. And it's so sad because ICE is taking out murderers. They're taking out drug lords. They're taking out people from mental institutions, bringing them back to their country. They're taking out the roughest people, Tren de Aragua. The jails are emptied out from Venezuela. Now I like Venezuela very much. I say good things. I don't talk about Venezuela in a negative. I think it's a wonderful country. We just it's very interesting. It's so much different. It's changed so much in literally a week. It was one of the great military maneuvers of all time. It was like flawless. It was one of the great of all time. But we're dealing with the new president. We're dealing with a lot of the people that were running the country. And they had our first thing is they said, we have 50 million barrels. Hard to believe, Eric. I said, is there such a thing as 50 million barrels? 50 million barrels of oil. And we have to get it processed immediately because we have no room. Will you take it? I said, we'll take it. I didn't have to consult with anybody on that. I didn't have to call up our great attorney general. I said, we will take it. And it's the equivalent of $5.2 billion. That was the first day. And it's now traveling nicely to the United States. And we've had a great relationship with the people that are currently they say the interim president and everybody else. And it's been, I think a lot of pressure has been released because, that was a great country 20 years ago. And then it went bad because it had the wrong system. It had a bad system. And we can't ever fall into a position where we have that system because that system isn't going to work. That system can make a lot of people that are good people, bad people, or incompetent people. But we passed the largest tax cuts in history, the largest regulatory cuts in history, and the largest spending cuts in history. And that got done. We call it the great big beautiful bill. We have no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. People that buy a car, they get a deduction now on their interest if they buy a car and borrow money. It never happened before. Rich people that got used to taking deductions, people in middle class situations or lower than middle class, they never got deductions on anything. They can now. I think it's going to have a huge impact. We're building more factories in the United States now than at any time in our history. And we have $18 trillion being invested. We have think of that, $18 trillion more than any country has ever had by 5 times. Think of that. There's never been anything even close. 3 trillion is the record. We're going to be, I think, at over 18. Through 10 months, it was 18. We could crack 20 by the time we have our first year, which will be in a little while, January 20th. So it's been amazing. We also did a couple of other things. Critical race theory and transgender insanity is out of our schools and out of our lives. And we got men out of women's sports, officially out of women's sports. And everyone said, well, that's an 80-20 issue. No, that's a 98-2 issue. I don't even think it's 98-2. Military recruitment is setting records. A year ago, and now you have to go a year and a half ago, I guess. But a year ago, military recruitment was at an all-time low, and that included for police and firemen. And now military recruitment, police and firemen is the highest it's ever been. We have never had this many people apply for jobs. We've never seen anything like it. And we hire now on a merit-based system because we won the court case, the Supreme Court case. Everything's based now on merit. So we get people in merit as opposed to putting people in jobs that maybe shouldn't be there. Whether it's nice or not, it's how our country grew. It's how our country became great. So we have a merit-based system. In less than a year, we made 8 peace deals and ended the war in Gaza. We have peace in the Middle East. Nobody thought that was going to be possible. We stopped India and Pakistan from fighting, 2 nuclear nations. They say many millions of people. The Pakistani prime minister said Donald Trump saved at least 10 million people. And it was amazing, and it's an honor. And we obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity with Operation Midnight Hammer. That was another operation that was incredible. And then you have al-Baghdadi, got out. That's a founder of ISIS, was rebuilding ISIS. Got him. And Soleimani, he's the one, the roadside bomb. And frankly, he was a strong general. Maybe we wouldn't have been so successful. I think we would have, but maybe we wouldn't have been so successful in Iran had he been around. But he destroyed a lot of lives and a lot of young people that walk around with no legs, no arms, a face that was just, just smashed. He was the father of the roadside bomb, and he knew how to do it. We got him. And as I announced earlier this month, from right here at Mar-a-Lago, we apprehended the outlaw known as dictator Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela for his crimes against the United States and the rest of the world. And actually, no other nation in the world could have done that. And they actually admit that there's no other nation could have done what we did a week ago. Every single day of my administration, I will continue to put America first and fight for the great state of Florida. I love this state. Special place. I don't know. It's just special. You know it. I know it. A lot of people know because a lot of people are coming here. So that when people see that the beautiful sign is all lit up nice at night and it says Donald J. Trump Boulevard, they'll be filled with pride. Just pride, not in me, pride in our country, pride in the state, because our nation will be stronger, richer, and more successful, which is what it is right now. We're stronger, richer, and more successful than we have ever been before. And I didn't know the big surprises that we could do this quickly. I thought it would take us a couple of years maybe, but we did it very quickly. I mean, it's been 11 months and we've never had anything like it. More factories, more everything. There's never been anything like what we've done. And that means car factories too, not just the AI. The AI is unbelievable what's happening there. We're leading China by a lot, but we're building more car factories than at any time in the history of our country. Who would think that? And that's largely because of tariffs. They don't want to pay the tariff. It's a pretty simple formula. You know, China became powerful because of that. They don't want to pay the tariff, but it only works really here. It works best here, what a lot of people don't understand. It doesn't work in most countries, but here it works great. So because of that, we have more things happening than we've ever had. And I think you're going to see an explosion. You already see it, in all fairness, but this next year could be just an explosion of success. So once again, I want to express my gratitude to every official who contributed to this great honor, in particular Meg, who's an incredible, what a future. She's got a good future too, Daddy, right? Come on. And I want to thank especially my son, and I want to thank the great people of Florida. This is just an amazing day for me, and it's an amazing place. And we're going to have 3 more great years, but hopefully we're going to have many, many decades of greatness in this country. So we have it off to the right start. Thank you all very much. What an honor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good luck. Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it. That's a serious sign. Wilton, you want to come up here? Yeah, look at that. Come on. I don't know if you're going to compete with it, Wilton. This is, all of a sudden, you're looking a little bit squeezy here. Let's see. Good. Oh, that's great. Wow. I love that. Greatest president in our lifetime. Wilton, how old are you? That's not very long. And you do a great job, too. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very much. You know, we have a wedding here now. So they said, sir, is there any way you can move it quickly? I said, I'm not moving it quickly. We're not. And the people getting married were outside and they said, take your time, sir. This is an honor. So it's sort of cute. Have a good time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Did you guys like that? So, renaming the road to Mar-a-Lago, press Donald J. Trump Boulevard. Donald J. Trump Boulevard. It has a nice little. Oh, am I muted? You can't understand me? I'm muted? Okay, wait a minute. I don't know why y'all can't hear me. I don't know. Can you guys hear me now or no? I don't know if you guys can hear me. I don't know, whatever. You're good. No, we are getting screwed. Now you're good. Thank you, Joe. Anyways, I had a nice ring to it. I thought that would make you guys feel a little better. Donald Trump is just doing a lot. Yes, he's naming things after him, but he's accomplished a lot of things. One thing I did take away from that, thank you, Alvin. One thing I did take away from that is that no other country, no other nation could have done what Donald Trump has done in Venezuela. The Venezuelan people are happy. Their dictator is gone, and now they can be free, and there's high hopes for Venezuela. I definitely will be watching that trial. And as far as the healthcare, you guys, Americans need affordable healthcare. And that first video that I showed laid out the health plan. Yes, we need to get more into it, but basically Obamacare didn't work and Americans can't afford healthcare. So this is going to be better for Americans in the long run. And maybe we could phase out Obamacare. Now I have indigestion. What are you guys talking about? Trump is our president. I'm going to hold my thoughts. So did you guys like that with what Donald Trump laid out with healthcare? I played that, guys. You guys asked me for that video. Well, not that video, but you asked me to talk about that. Eat real food and you be great in health. MAGA. All right, you guys. So it seems like we're on the right page. So I like to play the clip so you guys can hear yourself. It's not me persuading you. You can hear from the president's mouth what his plan is. I play from Caroline Leavitt. I play whatever. And you can hear and judge for yourself. But it makes sense if you listen to it. It works. What was happening before didn't work. Okay. Make Europe great again. Can we phase out exceptionalism? Brother Tyler Railroad. Okay. Hardcore says you're a smart woman. I appreciate you. Obamacare covers cult deprogramming. I think you're just bored because you put a lot of senseless stuff in the chat, but I just let it rock anyways. I'm grateful for the remaining video. Jermaine, I thought that last video was going to be great. I loved it. Donald Trump, he has a sense of humor. Our president has a sense of humor, and he has to, because you have a lot of people from the left that's going to insult every darn thing that he does. Even if it's the exact same thing that President Obama did, they'll still look at Donald Trump and criticize, and it seems as if they just want everything, even if they receive nothing in return. And it just makes no sense to me. I don't know. I think I have to start modding my chats a little bit more aggressively because I don't really care to hear all the negative stuff about Donald Trump. I can go somewhere else and hear all that. When I'm here, you guys can, but I won't. You can express yourself however you want. Okay? I don't care, as long as, I will say this. I want this country to be great. Basic things, nothing too complicated. Men don't belong in women's sports. Enter this country the right way. Put your money for healthcare into American citizens, not people that came here illegally. That's what the government shutdown was all about. The Democrats wanted to give trillions of dollars to illegal immigrants when we can't even afford healthcare. Healthcare, we were born here. It was not a Republican shutdown. It was a Democratic shutdown, and the Republicans refused to budge. They refused to say, hey, there was no compromising there. So thankfully, the government is back open, but that's what the shutdown was all about. So Donald Trump lowering the cost of prescription drugs and making it affordable for people is what we need here. We have so many illegal immigrants flooding our emergency rooms. Just go there and take a look. And who do you think pays for that? Nothing is free. It comes from the American people, and there's no way you guys can't really see what's happening, but all I could do is show you and let you judge for yourself. That's all I could do. That's why I leave other channels. They heavy on Trump. Oops, I just lost that comment. You said something about other channels. Let me use my phone. I can see your comments better. That's why I'm on my phone a lot, but sorry about the mishap over here. Hang on, you guys, because I can't see your comments that fast. There it is. That's why I leave other channels. They heavy on Trump hate and not solutions. I like it here. Like this, subscribe. Thank you, Jermaine Event. I appreciate that. And I listen to both sides. I go through all the insults. I listen. But just like Jermaine said, when you guys are throwing insults to me, what it tells me is that you don't have a reason. So it's easier to throw insults because you don't have any facts to back up what you're saying. And the insults are coming from the political left. It's almost as ridiculous as those dinosaur comment outfits that you wear for these rallies and the protests, these very illegal protests. It's not constitutional. These ICE agents out there fighting for their life. This is not the street for that right now. But all I'm saying is make it make sense. That's all I'm saying. Hey, Irby. Good morning. Wealthy people don't give a damn about any of that. What are you talking about? I know plenty of wealthy people that care about a lot of things. No intelligence detected. There, that's what I mean by the insults. Let me see what you said here. Yeah. I'm trying to highlight all y'all comments there. I don't know. I didn't read it. Okay. Let me use my phone. Irby, how are you? Stop calling people illegal. What do you want me to call them? Ralph, you're pissing them off. What do you want to call them? Damn left going after you, Irby. I'm so tired. I can't even take y'all seriously right now. Irby, it's okay. Maybe it's the shirt. Maybe I should have worn a different shirt, but I had it there. Okay, let me. If you really have a problem with healthcare, the real problems with the insurance companies, y'all focusing on the wrong stuff. Is this Black MAGA on witnessing? When did I ever say I was MAGA? More aggressively say less. Yes. Y'all heavy on those Trump comments. Okay. I agree with Trump on this issue. Go invest in some assets. Okay. Say undocumented. Let's talk about that. Why? When I said illegal, it pissed you off? If you enter this country and it's not legal, what would it be? What would it be called? They're undocumented and they're illegal. So can I say both? Thank you, Jose. Always about race. I was looking for the comment about race, but I can't find it. There's so many comments that's in there. I can't find it. I think I'm not going to talk about race because I didn't see the comment. Republicans, Democrats, Trump on the same team. Fair enough. I don't think they are, but you're entitled to your opinion. Oh, thank you for the gift. Thank you. Thank you for the cash app. Thank you. Hey, Joe. Thank you. Thank you. They're not here legally. I'm not going to get into that. There are white people being deported too. Exactly. I missed the race comment. I tried to avoid them. I'm not ignoring you guys. I purposely avoid the race comments. I'll answer like 2 of them. I heard Black MAGA. You know, there's a lot of blacks that belong to the Republican Party. You just don't see them as much, but there's a whole bunch of us. But can we just be Republican? Do I have to identify as a Black Republican? I just feel American. Melania isn't a genius. What? Okay, you guys. So, Black MAGA, yes, you are. I'm not going to fall apart that you call me that. I don't identify as MAGA. But no, you did not come here saying that. No, I'm not MAGA. I don't even know how you guys could think that. I don't know even. Oh, how are you? I'm from Palm Springs. I'm trying to communicate with you from my phone. Mohammed. Wow, that's right. So anyway. I'm wearing a Trump shirt because I'm wearing a Trump shirt, yeah, but you know, he's a president. So, hey, Agent Smitty. Cosmo, you are doing a lot with these comments. Cosmo, I'm surprised my mods let you live that long. Let me take care of you. I just asked you guys to leave the race thing alone. I'm kind of over it, but I can't see you in my chat, so I can't take care of you. All right. Obama shirt. When Obama was, no, I would not wear an Obama shirt. I didn't like what he stood for, but you know, I'm going to talk about the president now. Democrats always have the hypocritical racist responses. Claudia, it's unreal. Your president was found guilty. My president was found guilty of nothing like that for a 20. Are you okay? So you wore an Obama shirt? I mean, a Biden shirt? No, I did not wear a Biden shirt. Casino. No, the comments go fast, Irby, so I can't even catch them. That's why I'm just reading them from the bottom up. No, I would not wear a, no. Daquan, how are you? So, Trump told farmers their illegals can stay. See how that works? D-Brow, I haven't seen that. So if there's something like that happened, I didn't see it. Who are you guys talking about was shot in the arm and chest? Who are you guys talking about? My president just got a street named after him. Y'all bugging us. Jermaine, I thought that was a really big deal. He's been getting honored in so many ways. And the reason why is because our president is about peace and bringing peace around the world. And he's doing an amazing job, which is why a lot of people felt like he should have won the Nobel Peace Prize. Now that's controversial. I'm not going to get into that, but I do appreciate how he's trying to keep America safer. Crime has been down in the United States. Crime has been down in cities like Chicago and other places, Washington, D.C. Donald Trump is just doing what he needs to do. Now, a lot of these cities like to fight Donald Trump, but they don't want troops there. They don't want ICE there. But sometimes you just have to do what you have to do, whether the people like it or not. They want to fight Donald Trump every step of the way, and Donald Trump is still getting it done. We can just look at Washington, D.C. and see how it's cleaned up there in the Capitol. And people don't want to give Donald Trump his credit. They don't have to. The right people voted for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is in office. He has 3 more years to go. And I feel that the pushback is a lot of the things that you guys see on the news is fake news, is propaganda, and it's to make President Trump look bad. Most people support President Trump. Hardly anybody has voters remorse, as people like to say. So with that being said, if you disagree with me, you should put why you disagree with me and not just the insults, because if you insult me, that just means that I feel even stronger in my beliefs and my convictions, because you don't have your words to use to dispute any of my facts or my talking points. Now, are we still friends after all that? January 6th is fake news. Man, Claude, I don't even know how you got to be a moderator with these kind of points, but January 6th happened, but we're not going to get into why, because if we want to get into January 6th, then you have to get into the rigged elections. You have to get into how Donald Trump lost unfairly, but I'm not really going to get into that because he made the biggest political comeback in history. So I'm not sure why you're talking about January 6th right now. I'm not sure what that has to do with the conversation at all, but I'll let you ride. I'll let it ride. Lost unfairly. You are so stupid. I wouldn't say that I was stupid. I would just say that we disagree. So, and if I wasn't kind of on my last leg tonight, I would have more energy towards you, but I don't right now. I have to use my phone. You ain't gonna get into that because you don't know shit. I'm not getting into January 6th because I wasn't talking about January 6th. It had nothing to do with what I was talking about. So I'm not really sure why Claude threw that in my chat, but Claude talks about January 6th a lot. He's copying Barack Obama. How is he copying Barack Obama? The Obamacare didn't work. Doesn't work. It doesn't work for a lot of Americans. Doctors don't put that jacket back on. 'Cause, Obamacare didn't work. So he's not trying to copy a plan that didn't work because okay. They just want to switch the topic. Wilchin, then they want to switch the topic because they want to go to something controversial. We just had the anniversary of January 6th. Again, if you want to talk about January 6th, now I'm not saying it should have happened on Capitol Hill. That obviously was something that shouldn't have happened, right? I didn't like it. President Trump didn't endorse that. And a lot of people that call themselves Republicans were rhinos. They were not Republicans. They just pretended to be Republicans to make the Republican Party look bad. All right. I'm not saying that Republicans didn't show up, but both parties showed up, Republicans and Democrats, and it shouldn't have happened. It just shouldn't happen. Al Gore's election was rigged also. He didn't act as poorly as he did. So that's a matter of opinion, Claude. That's a matter of opinion. And I'm not sure what Al Gore has to do with this conversation. And I don't understand why you're having trouble staying on topic, but maybe it's because you're sleepy. Maybe you stayed up late. It is late where you are. So I guess if you want to talk about Al Gore, we can talk about Al Gore, but that really wasn't what I was talking about. A doctor is supposed to heal. Joe Biden isn't coming back. Should we get... Hey, good morning. I see you. I'm about to turn Democrat. Oh, man. I don't know about that. And it's interesting. So how does healthcare work exactly? Trump giving you $2,000 for healthcare wouldn't cover your monthly appearances. We can get into that, but Carsino, I don't know. Are you drunk or uneducated? I'm very educated. But no, I'm not drunk. I'm sitting here. Good morning. Who would you support when Trump is out of office? Well, I don't know who's running for 2028. So that's a hard question to answer. If JD Vance runs, I will support JD Vance. JD Vance will make a fine president. And I don't know who JD Vance's vice president would be. So that's really too early for me to say. It's too early for me to know. JD Vance after Trump? I would say JD Vance after Trump. I would. Damn it says, the outrage in this chat is crazy. So many people are dependent on the government. Go out and make your life your own. I controlled my own narrative. Retired at 50. Damn it. I love it. I love that. I ignore a lot of the negative comments in the chat because the negative comments come from one side, which would be the political left. You don't, the Republicans, I'm sure I said some things that could have made them upset, but at least they're respectful and they disagree respectfully. You can't have a conversation without using your words, okay? So I give you guys nonpartisan news. I don't censor it. I just listened to that song yesterday. She's trying out to be Trump's comment. If there is a better candidate than Vance, will you support them or stay with Vance? I will absolutely support the best president for the country. Okay. And if there's a better president than a Republican, which I'm not sure how that's going to be, then I'm going to vote what's for the country's best interest. Nonpartisan, but all right-leaning. Well, that's a matter of opinion. I didn't mute you guys. I let you speak, so that would make me nonpartisan. Because if I go into, I went to a chat. I'm not going to say the chat's name, and they were, left wing. And I just said one thing in that chat, and I I got blocked so fast. Then they unblocked. Well, I must have gotten timed out because I was able to speak later. And the way that I let you guys rock out in the chat, I definitely don't get the same courtesy. Republicans don't get the same courtesy. You guys will call white people racist in a minute just for speaking their views. Poor Rob Reiner. Man, leftists like to create echo chambers. Yeah, they do. And I hate to put the right against the left because really we're all people, but there's definitely a difference. And Republicans are the biggest victims. Well, the only victims are the ones that's whining in the chat. Imagine sending you a Biden shirt. Ma'am, can you answer my question? The round table, let me see your question. Should we get rid of the Affordable Care Act? Roundtable says, should we get rid of the Affordable Care Act just because it isn't as good as we want it to be? Why wouldn't we want to reform it? I do think we should get rid of the Affordable Care Act, but I also think there should be something better in place. So I do feel that we need health care. Oh, Castillo, please don't. That we need health care, but Obamacare wasn't it. It just wasn't it. It's very limited. Not a lot of doctors take the plan, and the deductibles and the premiums are getting higher and higher, and it's not affordable for a lot of Americans. I can't use Obamacare. If I use Obamacare, it'd be really expensive. It was better for me to get private insurance. So no, I think that Obamacare put a toll on our taxes, and it just was not practical. There has to be something better. Who whines more, Trump or Elon? I think you do. You'll take the cake for that one. That was my show, so you can remove that shirt. That wasn't my question. That was the one I saw. I don't know. There was a lot of questions in the chat. 2 presidents. It's hard to answer questions like this from the chat, but I'll try. 2 presidents of multiple years. 2 presidencies and multiple. I lost it. It's gone. Sorry, I lost your comment. As I said, anyone can argue the argument, but let's try arguing the solutions. James, I like solutions. I think it's important to be informed, to start there and have conversations about it. I really just try to have a conversation with you guys. I play mostly videos, so I'm not trying to influence you. I'm trying to let you hear for yourself. I try to find videos that's going to break down the major talking points of what we're talking about in this country right now. I have my opinion and my interpretation of it, right? I've studied these things, but I am Republican, so I'm obviously going to lean towards the right. I just let you guys make your own decision. I do feel that a lot of people vote Democrat because their parents voted Democrat, at least for Black people. And instead of looking at the policies in which they're voting for and how election after election the Democratic Party fails to deliver, they'll offer you all these programs and all these things to vote for the Democratic Party, but they don't have to deliver. Always in denial. Oh, Lord. They only subscribe to you because you talk down on Democrats. You're a Trump supporter. Have I spoken down on Democrats? Because I have friends that are Democrat. I'm not speaking down on Democrats. I'm just speaking about what I know to be true and my beliefs. I'm not talking down on Democrats. That would be, why would I do that? I have no reason to. Are the Democrats talking down to me? As far as I'm concerned, it wasn't a Republican that called me stupid, fat, big hair. You guys called me a lot of things. So I don't think you can sit here and play victim and saying I'm talking down to Democrats when the Democrats are talking down to me. I give you what you give me back. Trump openly talks about abusing women. I have not seen any video of Donald Trump talking about abusing women at all. Ma'am, you read my question, but you didn't answer it. I asked, why should we get rid of ACA instead of changing it to get better? I just said it should be better, and I did answer your question. I said that the premiums are high, it's not affordable, it has narrow provider networks, and those are the reasons why we should get rid of Obamacare. So I did answer your question. You like the corruption? I like what corruption? I don't like the protests in Minnesota. I don't like getting an ICE agent's way from doing their job. Do I like those things? No, I do not. I don't like people putting themselves in harm's way. And then if something happens to them, then they're a martyr, which she's not a martyr. And she lost her life, unfortunately. I think both people can learn from that. So let's make ACA more affordable, not getting rid of it, right? I think that I'm holding out for Donald Trump's plan roundtable. You're stuck on ACA, but there can be something better. And right now there's something better coming in place. You're in a cult. I'm not in a cult. She learned like Ash. Okay, Demo. Make Greenland great again. We need Greenland. That would be great for America. Just lost her comment. My parents told me one time, it don't matter who I vote for, just vote Democrat. Exactly. I was a kid. I saw drugs, gang, and violence growing up. I never vote Democrat. I use my eyes to make that decision. That's interesting, Jermaine. My family is Democrat as well. I will not vote the way that my parents voted. I feel like they've been let down a lot. I've seen them let down. And no, I would not vote Democrat just because my parents voted Democrat. No, not at all. I haven't even, even in relationships, I think it's important to be on the same team because it doesn't work any other. I'll leave that alone. But I just think that it's important in your household because it's gonna matter how you think financially, I just don't see how people could be so opposite. It's like Republicans are for traditional values and less government involvement in your life. So I raised my kids to be Republican. My parents failed me because I'm a sellout. That's harsh. That's really harsh, but okay. They don't think that. Ma'am, I'm stuck on the, oh man, you're not letting it go. Okay. I'm stuck on a Affordable Care Act because without it, I wouldn't receive life-changing care that has significantly improved my life. Instead of building a new program, why shouldn't we just keep the plan? I'm not discounting your experience with the Affordable Care Act, and I'm glad that it works for you, but it doesn't work for every American. Some Americans can't even afford the Affordable Care Act, but I am glad that it works for you, Roundtable. But there's a lot of problems with it as far as who you can see, as far as I explained, I don't want to sound redundant, but there's a lot of plans with a lot of problems with it. And that's why a lot of physicians do not like the Affordable Care Act. I happen to work for one who doesn't take it. And a lot of good doctors will not take it. Is there anyone else that likes the Affordable Care Act besides that one in there? It doesn't work. How can it be less government involvement when ICE is on every corner harassing America? Lord. America's and regular citizens asking around for illegal immigrants. That sounds totally Republican to me. Less government involvement in our life. We should be able to govern ourselves. ICE agents are there because we have an immigration problem and we need something to help with that. That's not the kind of government involvement I'm talking about, okay? Work. We don't need all of this public assistance and stuff like that. I mean, public assistance is okay, but it should be a time limit and it shouldn't be dependent on how many kids you have. You earn your keep in America. We're not a socialist country. Socialism will not work in the United States. People have to work. So I'm not talking about the ICE agents. We need the ICE agents here because there's a problem. And that problem, even Obama knew that there was a problem with illegal immigration, which is why he deported. He participated in mass deportations as well, but people don't like to talk about that. Trump is right on everything. Well, I don't agree with anybody 100%, but I look at the good. Socialism is a way to ruin the country. Exactly. Hardcore. And we know this, but people like to buy into this dream. We cannot be a socialist country. Social protections are important. ICE is doing their jobs. What's so hard about showing your ID and moving on your day unless you're illegal? And if there were any Americans that were deported, which I doubt, and if there was a mistake, they were brought back. They wanted it to be that way to make it seem as if ICE agents are overly aggressive. So they'll pretend to be an illegal immigrant to try to make ICE agents look bad. ICE agents are there to get illegal immigrants out of the country. That's it. And to put them back in their own country where they can thrive and come back in the United States the right way. Documented. Obama signed an EO for mass amnesty to rule unconstitutional. Oh, Andrew, okay. Affordable care saved my life 3 times. Okay. She can't define, she only reports. I prefer to just report so you guys can make your own decision, but you know, you're an idiot. Ouch. Showing papers is called verification. So you're okay with fascism? I didn't say that, Casino. I never said that. Who's a fascist? How dare people want healthcare or food? When did I say that people don't deserve food or healthcare? I never said that. How's ICE on our streets? Less government involvement. That's not what I was talking about when I said that. Why is Donald Trump's approval rate one of the lowest in the country? It's not. It's not. It's one of the highest in the country. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Sky. Thank you. No one should have to show papers. That's revocation of privacy. I disagree. I disagree with that. And don't compare that to other situations, please. If you get stopped by law enforcement, they're going to ask you to identify yourself if they have probable cause. Okay. People don't deserve health care. Oh, well, you know, we do got to take care of our citizens, or that would take a toll on our economy as well. I never regretted voting for Trump. Neither have I. Hey, what you say? And neither has a lot of other people, but they just say that because they know that if you come out here speaking the way that I do, people are going to criticize you. So they just say that so people, like, for example, I was told I could lose my job for my support of Donald Trump, right? So I found that kind of crazy. Geez, I agree, damage. Yeah, I know. We would agree that we would agree that we want to give as much health care as possible to our fellow Americans. I agree with you. And I fear that a new program would be hard to establish and would suffer the same problem. Roundtable, I understand what you're saying. And I do feel that Americans should have health care, and it has to be something that is affordable for all Americans. Obamacare is not affordable for all Americans. And I'm an American. It's more expensive for me to use Obamacare than for me to just pay to go to a clinic and pay the office visit price, then to use Obamacare. So Obamacare does not work for everybody. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for anyone that I know out here. And that's a fact. But I'm glad that it works for you. Donald Trump made me go hungry. Donald Trump didn't make me go hungry. Damage says, I just lost it. Wait a minute. So you are saying it's our government's responsibility to provide an individual food or Medicare, medical insurance or money. America isn't built on that. Damage, we already provide for everyone. You can go to an emergency room, which is so expensive, and they have to treat you. Do I agree with that? No. No. So, again, with Obamacare, see what they're saying, and it's low cost, but it's not low cost, you guys, when you look at it. It's just not. It's called brainwashing. Keep the faith misunderstood. Chris of America, I'm keeping the faith. I have to go through a lot of these comments I go through a lot of comments. I don't get discouraged. I know there's a lot of things that's hard to talk about. There's a lot of you asking one personal question. There's a lot where I just wanted to have a conversation. I know that Republicans have America's best interests in mind. And to vote for to say that anybody can come into this country, it's un-American to deport them, the ICE agents are being overly aggressive and all of that. I just feel that a lot of people are saying things that are against the United States, that will weaken our country, that will weaken our economy. And I just know that there is ulterior motives to that. And I find it disturbing. I find it disturbing that I just played a clip of the doctor who couldn't even say that men can't have babies and men can't be pregnant, and you could be canceled for stuff like that. I don't understand this doctor. I have a high regard for doctors, but I played that clip yesterday. Did you guys see it? That doctor would not say that men cannot have babies. So I'm not buying it. I'm not buying all the genders and all of those things. I don't want to see men play against women in sports, and so those are very basic concepts. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. But you could be canceled for saying stuff like that, and people will call you evil. They'll call you a fascist and all those kind of things. I have a high regard for doctors, just not ones I disagree with. I understand that. Doing drugs is for losers. Comment on that one. Why don't you just get a job and feed your own kids? Come through, Robin. I agree with you. I have weaponized my willful ignorance. Okay. Trump retard is I can't block you because I'm too tired to even block you. Cancel. Jermaine, mercy. Democrat socialist countries have higher standards of living in the United States by far. They wouldn't say that, Jerry. They wouldn't say that. Socialism won't work in the United States. I respect doctors, except when I disagree with them, then I know better. I miss Joe Biden. Okay, Democrats are not smart. They just want what they didn't earn. I like that. Good to see Trump supporters streaming. Hey, Maddie. So you compare. See, you guys just say anything. How does this make sense? You didn't get that. You draw your own conclusions. You could not have gotten that from what I said. So you compare ICE killing people. Where'd the comment go? See, I lost it for a minute. Good. I'm not going to waste my brain cells on that. I didn't compare anything like that. Oh, there it is. I did not compare ICE killing people to men playing in women's sports. I can only speak, but I can't help you comprehend. You have to do that on your own. You're denying reality. Trump has the lowest approval rating of any president. I didn't see that. I believe that's fake news. Y'all can't be serious. She drove her car straight into an agent. She drove her car into the agent. It was icy outside, and the agent protected himself. She has been, she's a paid agitator. May she rest in peace. She shouldn't have lost her life. Well, but he had to defend himself as well. So I'm just going to leave that there. It was not this. No, she's been following them around, stopping them from doing their job. And why are Americans interfering with ICE? Why do we interfere with that? Let them do their job and figure out who's here legally and who's not, and stay out the way. MAGA worldwide fake news. Okay, he's a hero. Show proof she is paid. Jesus. Yes, they have deported. How long have I been here? Oh, mercy. I got to wrap this up. Yes, they have deported gang members. In fact, you all go for it. Okay. Shirley reads liberal comments. Steven, I try to read. There's a lot of comments that fly by. So I'm not trying to ignore your comments if you do something out there. I'm sorry. Well, my daddy said, if you're in need of support, then get what you get. You don't throw a fit. Damage, I like that. You work for what you want. We're in a country, we're in the greatest country in the world. Regardless if you're a Democrat or Republican, right? We're in the greatest country in the world where you can make it. No matter how you started out, yes, some people have more obstacles than others, but everybody has something that they have to overcome. And we can make it in this country. There's really no excuse. If you don't make it in this country where there's so much given to you, where there's so much opportunities, it's because you don't want to, right? And you have to want to. God bless America. I heard about that. You're lying to yourself. If you can't make it, I don't know what to tell you. Anyone who says they can't afford healthcare or food must be lying and lazy. All right. It is insane. Most people don't understand what socialism is. Have I made it? I always want to strive to be better every day. But am I comfortable? Absolutely. That's still not true. I wouldn't speak it if I didn't believe it and if I haven't lived it for myself. And you can do whatever you want to do if you put your mind to it. You just have to find a way. First of all, it's against the law to keep interfering with ICE agents, so you're lucky you're not in jail. Right, Robin? The internet was built by socialism. ICE is not law enforcement. ICE is law enforcement. They're enforcing the immigration policies, so they're law enforcement. See how that works? If y'all think anyone can make it, I implore, take a camera to the hood, any hood. Okay, Jermaine, maybe that wasn't a sensitive comment for me. Good night. Hope you can see through this. Good night. Hope you can see this. See what? This is exactly what happens when everyone gets a trophy. I like Damming a lot. And everyone's a winner. They're not used to or like being told no, or they suck. It's okay to suck. It's not permanent. And it makes you strive harder. It does. It makes you strive harder. Socialism is a scam on people. He's not deporting remotely enough people. It's all for show. Obama out deported, Trump bam out. Obama did out. Obama deported a lot of people. We're going to pretend like MAGA isn't protecting Epstein. Nobody's talking about Epstein. Nobody's protecting Epstein. But if you want to talk about Epstein, start with why was Clinton in the Epstein files. Okay, photograph with them. DFJC, this was rough. All right, you guys. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. I've been here for 2.5 hours, so let me lay it down. I will be back later. I'll be back later with something else. There are successful Democrats. We just don't like the shut door. What is it? We just don't like the shut door or remove the ladder. Okay. Behind us when we become successful. Okay. I never said there weren't successful Democrats. I'm a sellout. Okay, that's not nice, but whatever. Okay. All right, you guys. On that note, let me get some rest. I see your comment. So I'm just going to leave that there. And we'll talk later, okay? Bye, you guys. That was for the chat, not for you. Okay, Jellyfin. Thank you for hanging out. Let me read this because Robin, let me see what you said. You keep saying she's a sellout. No, anybody that votes Democrat is a sellout for the simple fact that they were against abolishing slavery. Republicans were not. Facts. That's facts. Good night, Ralph. Hey, Freckles boy. Okay, you guys. I'm going to lay it down, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Feel free to go to my community wall or under any videos. You can leave me comments. I do respond to them. And let's make America great. Okay, bye-bye.